excited
Recording
to have
in
Clay Chandler
progress.
back to give us some updates on water from the city. To start it off, though, we'll hear, as we always do, from County Manager Avril Pinter.
Thank you, Lillian. Good morning. Last night, the Board of County Commissioners approved the budget for the upcoming year. I would like to provide 3 key points for this new budget and what it means for you. The budget's general fund comes in at $433.1 million with a tax rate of 54.66 cents. That is per $100 of appraised value, an increase of 2.9 cents. As Buncombe County navigates a post-Helene economic landscape and prioritizes recovery efforts in education, commissioners are working hard to meet the challenges and diverse needs of our community while keeping the tax rate as low as possible. Investing in education is a key priority and a part of storm recovery. While we've lost $11.4 million in revenue, we are working creatively to try to restore schools to pre-Helene fiscal year 2025 funding levels if the North Carolina legislature approves the use of Article 39 sales tax funds, and that vote can come as early as today. Our Helene Recovery Center at 90 Cox Avenue, Asheville is funded through fiscal year 26 and is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. for our survivors. As we speak today, staff from Buncombe County, the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, and fire departments are preparing for our CASPA survey taking place through Friday. The information we gather from these surveys will provide valuable data as we recover and build resiliency in our community after Tropical Storm Helene. Door-to-door surveying wouldn't be easy work, but we appreciate your participation as we come to your community. Here's what to expect. Staff will be wearing high visibility vests and name badges. Staff will provide randomly selected households throughout Buncombe County during the afternoon and early evening. The survey will cover questions about household demographics, emergency preparedness, health needs, and access to resources. Your participation is voluntary. We heard your concerns about why is this survey door-to-door. The CASPA survey is used by the CDC and local health departments and is designed to be conducted face-to-face for several important reasons. This includes gathering more accurate data, the ability to provide resources directly to households. Face-to-face interactions can help us build trust, and we can observe conditions and hear community concerns that may not show up in a written survey. If you're unsure about answering the door, know that our staff is trained. They're here to help, and you can always ask for ID. Another way you can contribute to your community's recovery is by joining a steering committee. If you have ties to Swannanoa and would like to help guide the future of the community, we encourage you to consider being part of the Swannanoa Small Area and Resiliency Plan Steering Committee. This committee will be made up of 11 to 13 Swannanoa residents and other collaborators with ties to the community, and will provide guidance to county planning department staff, review data and public input, and work to ensure that the planning process is representative of the community. Topics include recommendations for housing, transportation, health, and recreation, as well as goals and actions related to future disaster mitigation and resilience. The steering committee will identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges facing the community. It will then select recommended solutions through goals, policies, and actions that are specific to the history, character, and needs of Swannanoa. If you're interested, you can apply at the link we will add to the chat or visit buncombenc.gov. The deadline to apply to be on that steering committee is June 20th. The committee will be appointed by the Board of County Commissioners in August. Resources to help you through your Helene recovery are still available. North Carolina Disaster Case Management Program is a free program available to guide survivors through the recovery process. After you complete the initial needs survey, a local case manager will help you make a recovery plan that fits your needs, help you to find available resources, and work through challenges caused by the storm. You can call 844-746-2326 or fill out the intake survey at buncombeready.org. The Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, or HMGP, is here to help make our community safer and stronger after Hurricane Helene. This program helps reduce the risk of future flooding or storm damage on your property. This can include things like elevating homes, buying out property in high-risk flood zones, or making other improvements so we get better prepared. This isn't immediate disaster assistance. It's a long-term investment in keeping your home and family safer from future storms. If your home was damaged by Hurricane Helene, you would like to explore options to make it more resilient, we encourage you to apply. Applying now doesn't mean you'll see immediate changes, but it puts you in line for help that can make a real difference for the long haul. Visit buncombeready.org visit buncombeready.org to find the intake form or call the homeowner HMGP hotline at 919-873-5888. That's the Buncombe County. You can visit buncombeready.org or you can call 919-873-5888. The grace period to apply for the Small Business Administration physical damage loans due to Tropical Storm Helene ends on June 26. Apply online and receive additional disaster assistance information at sba.gov/disaster. Receive assistance by calling 800-659-2955, or you can email disastercustomerservice@sba.gov. The state is providing assistance for the repair of private roads and bridges, culverts, pipes, or bridges that were damaged or destroyed following Helene. You can apply for this program even if you applied for this assistance through FEMA. If you need assistance with the form or have general questions about the North Carolina Private Road and Bridges Program, please call 844-746-2326. The deadline to apply for private roads and bridges is August 3rd. We will add the intake form to the chat. If you need help applying for any of these programs or have questions about your recovery, visit us in person at the Helene Recovery Center. We have trained staff who are ready to help you. You do not need an appointment. Walk in anytime, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Free parking is available across the street and ARC Transit stops nearby. You can also call the One Buncombe call center at 828-250-6100. Buncombe County Commissioners will be hosting a series of town halls this summer. And the first one kicks off on Thursday, June 26th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. in District 2 at the North Windy Ridge School cafeteria. At the town hall, you can hear storm recovery updates, share input with commissioners, connect to recovery and county resources, and help inform plans that will guide how Buncombe County residents live, work, and play. The next town hall will be July 24th at AB Tech Ferguson Auditorium, and on August 7th at the Kuntz Intermediate School cafeteria. All these town halls we'll be talking about the long-term recovery plan. So to help give a little bit more context, I'd like to invite Angelica Tyler to give you some updates on the Envision Buncombe survey and the next steps.
Good morning. For the past 2 months, we have made it our mission to develop a community-driven plan for strategic recovery and resilience. From post-disaster needs to recovery priorities, this survey asked residents to envision the future of Buncombe County after the storm. The data you and your neighbors provided will inform multiple recovery and planning efforts, including the 2030 strategic plan and the long-term recovery plan. We are proud to share that this 4-question Envision Buncombe survey saw over 2,600 participants across our county, from Alexander to Fairview, Candler to Black Mountain, Swannanoa to Weaverville. Our cross-departmental teams quite literally crossed the county at 16 events with community partners like Bounty and Soul, Swannanoa Grassroots Alliance, faith leaders, and seniors events. We also heard from our residents at Helene recovery events in Barnardsville, Guerin Creek, and Broad River. Our Helene Resource Center was also instrumental in gathering direct feedback from some of the most impacted survivors in our community. We also had incredible participation from individuals who don't speak English as a first language. Over 3,000 folks viewed our survey in Spanish. Most residents participated online, but over 300 paper surveys were also collected. So what's next? County staff will dive into the data and present their findings to commissioners this fall. First, we'll use the data from Envision to inform our 2030 strategic plan. This 5-year plan was nearly complete before Helene struck. Later this summer, we'll come back to the community with more detailed recovery projects for your feedback. Look for the Envision Buncombe table at upcoming commissioners' town halls. We expect both plans will be finalized and adopted this fall. You can stay informed about the progress of these plans by subscribing to Envision Buncombe at engage.buncombcounty.org/Envision Buncombe. Over 500 of your neighbors have already subscribed. I want to personally thank you for taking time to share your input with us. With all that we have going on with our families, our work, and our community's recovery, your time is more valuable than ever. Thank you for sharing it with us. With that, I'll turn it back to Phil.
Thanks, Angelica. As Angelica said, we really do want to hear from you. We've scheduled very similar events across our community to make sure we can meet you where you are and hear from you. This is your community, and it's important for us to get your voice. In a moment, we will hear updates on debris removal in the county. But first, we want to remind residents to not leave storm debris or any other trash on the right-of-ways or near other piles you may see out there and about, or anywhere where debris is not meant to be. If you have applied for private property debris removal and some work was done, but there's still debris left on your property, rest assured that crews will be coming back to finish their work. If you have concerns, please call the One Buncombe call center at 828-250-6100 or visit the Helene Recovery Center. We may not always be able to see the status. We may not always be able to see the status of your PPDR work right away, as it goes through many different partners, including our consultant, Tetra Tech, FEMA, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, to Ashbrook and other contractors. But we will do our best to get the information that you need. Now we'll hear from Bobby Petty with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Good morning, everyone. Bobby Petty with the Army Corps of Engineers. We're making, I think, some pretty good progress right now. We're at day 251 of recovery that we've been participating in the Army Corps. Right now, we're currently in 10 counties operating with waterway debris removal and 8 PPDR. PPDR, you'll hear me say it several times, that's private property debris removal. Those are going to be parcels and houses that have debris that have qualified for debris removal that we're helping out with. We're also still supplying water and wastewater assistance throughout the county. Go ahead and switch to, next slide. Thank you. That slide there, my bad. We're still pretty active in Western North Carolina, obviously. You've seen us around. We have a total of 10 active missions right now, but the 3 active, probably the largest ones are going to be the waterway, the PPDR, and the wastewater. For the wastewater, we're providing right now for Buncombe County 9.1 million gallons per day to the wastewater treatment plants with our clarified water, which is getting water to Black Mountain, Swannanoa, and Asheville, about 180,000 people total in those three cities. We also just recently hit the 7 million cubic yards of debris removed statewide. Now, to give you an idea of how much that is, a million cubic yards is equal to about 1,000 miles of 10-yard dump trucks. So at 7 million miles, 7 million cubic yards, that's enough dump trucks to stretch from New York City to Tokyo. And that is a lot of debris. And you've seen it, probably trucks moving around that we're trying to help clear out those waterways, the private property removal sites, and just other places along the right of way. For private property debris removal, is actually just computing the numbers. We're currently, like I said, in 8 counties right now. Total, we've completed just about 3,300, mostly in Buncombe County, sites, private property sites that have been cleared. We've been adding additional sites to McDowell County, Polk County. We just added additional 4,000 sites to Buncombe County. And we're also adding sites in Transylvania, Watauga, and additional ones at Lake Lure and Chimney Rock. So right now we're looking at an additional from the 3,300 or so that we've cleared up already, adding an additional 8,633 private property sites. And that's in 8 different counties. So you can imagine there's also logistics involved in terms of moving crews and equipment out to those sites that it's taken time for us to get some of those sites and some of that information together. But I think, again, once we get out there, we'll be making some very fast progress with that. As far as waterway, we have cleared just about 5 million cubic yards total throughout the state. And again, that's about 5,000 miles of dump trucks of debris removed. Right now, we're counting about 4,000, just about 4,100 sites total. So we're about 76 complete in terms of the site count that we've cleared out. We've already completed the right-of-way mission. There's little bits and pieces around that we're kind of doing to QC it to make sure everything is taken care of. But the right-of-way, we had to clear the right-of-way first so we could actually get those crews and equipment out to the sites. And I think we've actually made, again, some very good progress with that. I'm going to switch next slide, and actually one more slide after, please, to Buncombe County. I'm going to focus on that a little bit. Okay, so for Buncombe County, we've cleared right out 2.2 million cubic yards total thus far. We're expecting to do a little over 500,000 more over the next month or next several weeks. In terms of waterway specifically, we've cleared 1.2 million. That's a little bit more than what I initially expected. But we're about 81%. Yeah, 81% total that we have cleared. So again, we're making some very good progress in Buncombe County. Next slide. For the city of Asheville, we break it down further. We're looking at about 836,000 that we projected, and we're expecting about just under 200,000 cubic yards that still needs to be removed from various waterways and PPDR sites. And that PPDR number will probably increase, like I said, because we just added 4,000 additional sites. We're also looking at, we have about 600 from that first bit, but we're adding the additional those additional sites. That's, of course, going to increase that mission and lengthen the mission that's left on that. Total right now for waterway in the city of Asheville, we cleared just, we have about 300,000 or so cubic yards left. And we have about 83% of the site count on that in Asheville County. Next slide. And I have later some point by point a map that I think will show you, so that we'll say the picture says 1,000 words. I think it'll help significantly. The city of Lake Lure, we've completed thus far about 368,000 cubic yards. Okay, but we're looking at a little over 1.2 million left, and most of that is actually sand that is being moved around near right at the western end of the city, right next to Chimney Rock, that was deposited there when the water rolled down. So we're in the process of restoring that waterway right there at Morris Park, if you're familiar with the area. We're looking at about, I think, 1.2 million left. So we're looking at that probably taking us through sometime in July, maybe a little bit further to get all that debris out. Also, what's going on right now, the city is also lowered down. The city of Lake Lure has lowered Lake Lure, if you've been out there lately, about 6 feet. So they can, thus far, and they're going to lower it down to 20 feet below normal. So they can work on damaged sewer and water pipes near the dam. So if you go out there, it will look dramatically different. But once that work is complete, I understand that they're going to let the water level, of course, come back up. So if you go out there, it'll look different. But again, it helps a lot for the long-term recovery. Next slide. This right here, this slide is, I think, very helpful in terms of a picture, overall picture of what we're doing. Each dot here represents a site. We're looking at about 4,065 sites statewide in 15 or 16 counties total that we've been working on. Green dots obviously mean that they've been cleared. The red dots mean that still need to be cleared. In some cases, those red dots actually are sites that have been cleared, but they're actually going that you still need to go through that final step of QC to make sure that yes, everything's cleared by the state and the counties that agree with that. And we're looking at it statewide right now at about 76% completion. Next slide. So if you break it down, zoom in a little bit further, you look at Buncombe County. We're looking at 462 sites total that have been identified, and we're about 81% complete in terms of the county. Next slide. And looking down further now, drilling at City of Asheville, we're looking at 260 sites total that have identified, and we've cleared 83% of those. Most of those in the city, in between, basically the city limits have been cleared. Yes, there's some spots out there that need to be QC'd, but I think we're, again, making some good progress with that. Next slide. Like I said, we're adding about 4,600 private property debris removal sites in Buncombe County, about 8,600 sites statewide in 8 counties total. So what we put together, because some of the people may not have, maybe they didn't know about it in terms of what's required, what can be removed, and what's not eligible. We put together a list that summarizes all that into tables. You'll be able to find this easily. We can get it to the Army Corps. There's a QR code there, and I apologize. I was trying to get a shorter URL, but if you go to the Wilmington District website or just type in Helene response in Google and look for the Army Corps, you'll be able to find this near the top of that page. And it gives you, if you have private property debris that needs to be removed, it'll help tell you what is eligible and what's not eligible, and give you some additional information in terms of how you can help the process go a little bit further. Next slide. And, like I said, we're at 251 days for the Army Corps, and it's been difficult for, I know, for everyone with the state who's lived here. What I want to go ahead and do is show you in terms of before and after. If you look at the 2 pictures up there, this is satellite imagery, obviously. We had, this is on McDowell County on the Catawba River, looking at March 2023, and then what it looked like after the storm, just a few months back. You can see there on the bottom picture where trees have been uprooted. The river has changed dramatically. I mean, it was as much of a meteorological event, a geological event, as it was a meteorological event. The state has gone through a lot, and I think the road to recovery is still there. To that end, the very next slide, please. Last slide. This right here are pictures. Back in October, FEMA was out, and they took pictures of around Lake Lure, for example. Picture on the left shows just debris, trees, all kinds of stuff floating that the state guard and other volunteers helped clear out over many, many months. And what you see there on the right-hand side is kind of how it looks. This week, a colleague and I took a picture of that just last week, and we're getting that debris. The top stuff is obviously gone. Now we're actually working on getting the mud, the cars, I mean, just household debris, everything out right now of Lake Lure, so we can get that restored. So, I mean, statewide, I think we're definitely seeing the light at the end of the tunnel in terms of that emergency response. Of course, that long-term response will take months or years more, but I do believe that the state is on to a good road to recovery overall. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. And the Army Corps will stick around at the end of this for any questions that may come up. We'll turn things over next to Vic Isley, President and CEO of Explore Asheville.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you to Buncombe County for inviting us to be a part of the briefing this morning. Since 1983, the Buncombe County Tourism Development Authority has had a vital public purpose of building community in Asheville and Western North Carolina. And that certainly has taken on a deeper meaning over the past number of months. The mountain graphic on the next slide really shows how interconnected we all are. For the last several years, visitors in Buncombe County contributed nearly $3 billion in direct spending for area businesses. That equates to about 20% of Buncombe County's GDP. Taking a look at the layers of this, it also provides jobs for 29,000 of our neighbors, and for the first time in 2023, topped $1 billion in wages for area residents. Importantly, visitors also contribute net new tax revenue to our city, county, and state, and you see that in the base of this mountain graphic. So 1 out of every $5 in the city and county tax revenues have been supported by visitors generally. And that means for us as county residents, if it weren't for those visitors, we would have to pay an additional $2,600 annually per household to make up for that tax differential. And I think we're really feeling that in area businesses and as residents and our city and municipal partners as we see in the wake of Helene. And we at Explore Asheville and with our community partners are really hard at work in restoring this creative economy and visitor economy for our community. The next slide shows you total lodging sales by fiscal year. So total lodging sales from July of 2024 through April of 2025 are down 26% year over year. And total lodging demand, which is the total number of hotel rooms or vacation rental rooms sold, is down 7% for the same period. We track lodging demand as a leading indicator because we get this data much sooner than sales tax data from the state. And because we know 70% of what visitors spend in our community is outside of lodging businesses like hotels, vacation rentals, and B&Bs, and is out in our community in restaurants and breweries, music venues, tour outfitters, and importantly, retail and merchants and art galleries and transportation. Now, the next slide shows, as previously reported, Explore Asheville ceased all paid advertising the day after Helene and restarted advertising along Biltmore and Visit NC, our state tourism office, in November, following Biltmore reopening, the return of potable water to most of Asheville, and clearance from NCDOT on major highway and road passage. This tourism economics data shows investing in incremental marketing and messaging can accelerate economic recovery. But on average, hurricane recovery is between 12 and 14 months. In many cases, that's in flatland areas, so we know our topography has had different impacts on our recovery from Helene. Now, we are working day in and day out with partners throughout the area to shorten our community's recovery timeline. Since we established the Always Asheville Fund, we have distributed more than $2.1 million in grants to small businesses in Buncombe County to help sustain them. However, we understand that businesses in our region continue to need the support for business grants, as well as the return of customers through the front doors of their businesses. In that regard, we have some encouraging news to share. As of April, more than 80% of our 2,000 travel and hospitality partners in Buncombe County are open. We understand that our region's recovery is going to be on a continuum for quite some time. So while we mourn the loss of local favorites like Rhubarb and Bottle Riot, we can also celebrate the revival of spaces like a new Zella's Deli in East Asheville and the reopening of the Grand Bohemian Lodge and the creation of art spaces like Resurrection Collective Studios. We need to support those businesses and areas that can lead our economic recovery and provide space and grace for those places and people that are going to need more time to heal. Explore Asheville has been working directly with our regional and local partners to promote that message that Asheville is ready and open. We are actively collaborating with key stakeholders, including the Army Corps of Engineers, municipal partners, environmental groups, and tour guides to thoroughly assess the status of the French Broad River and the Blue Ridge Parkway and adjacent trails and parkland. These conversations have really helped inform our partners on where they can operate this summer while guiding our efforts to promote safe access to our region's remarkable natural treasures for both visitors and our local community. We've brought together merchants throughout Buncombe County to learn about their current challenges and how we can best support their livelihoods. And through grants and sponsorships, we're supporting dozens of seasonal festivals and events to encourage visitors to return while enhancing our community pride for our residents. And if any of you were at the community concert with the Steep Canyon Rangers, I think we can all agree that was a time well spent in community. Next, the Explore Asheville team has the awesome responsibility of shining a spotlight on our creative people and beautiful places throughout Buncombe County. Since Hurricane Helene, we've garnered more than a dozen major accolades celebrating our community's resilience, creativity, and visitor experience. We've been top ranked for travel, family travel, solo travel, culinary and craft beer, girls getaways, outdoor adventure, and love charming Black Mountain. These recognitions really show our area remains a sought after destination, welcoming travelers with experiences that are vibrant, authentic, and memorable. The next map is going to show you how and where we are marketing and inviting customers back. Since November, Explore Asheville has invested $4.5 million in marketing and messaging, encouraging the return of customers for our area businesses, beginning with an invitation for visitors to plan their return trip with heart and to be part of our comeback. More recently, we're leveraging another $4.7 million in media from April through the end of this month, showing we are ready and blooming, and now our declarative, Always Asheville, open and ready. This includes a co-op campaign in Chicago, New York, and DC with our partners at Visit NC, as I mentioned, is our state tourism office, with dollars they received through the General Assembly to have incremental budget to say that Western North Carolina is open. I don't know about you, but the green shoots of spring and blossoms have really revived me personally. And over the last several weeks, we've heard promising signals from our creative community. Tour providers are ready and eager to share the stories and experiences of our region. Retail merchants and art galleries are open. 11 miles of the Blue Ridge Parkway are open in Buncombe County, including leading you to the Folk Art Center and hikes like Graveyard Fields. More will be reopening this summer and this fall. The city of Asheville just announced the opening of river access points, and you can float down the French Broad this summer with Zen tubing. If you want to check this out, or like many of us that have friends and family visiting, the best place to find all this information is at exploreasheville.com. With that in mind, we're working with local talent in front of and behind the camera, and we just shot new footage and are now releasing this new TV spot airing in markets that you see on the map. Building upon our early partnership with Concert for Carolina, North Carolina native Eric Church granted us the rights to use his Siren Song of Carolina in our advertising this year. So I'll end by asking to play the video. Thank you.
Thank you for that. It was nice to see some familiar faces in that video. Next, we're going to hear from Asheville City Manager, Deborah Campbell.
Good morning. As was stated, my name is Deborah Campbell, and I serve as the City Manager of Asheville. As usual, I want to start by thanking everyone in the community for your continued support and your ongoing efforts to contribute to our community's recovery from Tropical Storm Helene. Today marks 254 days since Tropical Storm Helene. Today, the city team will have brief updates on our water system, storm debris removal efforts at Richmond Hill Park, the launch of a temporary activation program that will facilitate cross-sector partnerships on public properties, and a few more milestones that were reached or achieved in May. So first, I'll turn it over to Water Resources Department Public Information Officer, Clay Chandler.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. It was good to be back. Got a brief operational update today. So in keeping with tradition, we'll start with a turbidity update at North Fork. It continues to hover around 0.5. That is pre-Helene levels. At DeBrule treatment plant in Tree, raw water turbidity is about 2.8. That's not quite pre-Helene, but it's pretty close. Obviously, we're very happy with both of those reservoirs, at least heading in the direction of normalcy. That's the good news. Now, we have a different watershed. We have different reservoirs. We have tons of debris on the ground. We have tons of new sediment in those watersheds. And so we are still very, very vulnerable to even moderate weather events. A severe weather event would definitely probably push turbidity up to the point where we wouldn't be able to use our filtration and treatment processes. And that could even happen with a moderate weather event. So that kind of segues into my update about the DAF units that the Corps of Engineers have been operating since late last year at North Fork and since late March, I think it was, at Tree. But North Fork, the 13 DAF units there are pretty much splitting in half the demand with the plant's existing processes. So for example, if demand is 20 million gallons a day, the core system will handle about 10, and the actual plant will handle the other half. At DeBrule and Tree, the DAF unit is doing all the work, producing all 3 million gallons a day of average daily demand there. A lot of you were out at Mills River a couple of weeks ago when we broke ground on phase 2 of our improvement project there. Improvements in that project include an additional 1 million gallon clear well that will increase finished or treated water storage capacity, a new off-stream storage reservoir that will increase our off-stream storage of untreated water to about 23 million gallons, not quite doubling it, but pretty close. Mechanical upgrades to filters and treatment processes and various equipment. And the upshot of that is phase 2 and phase 3 will eventually double the production capacity at Mills River from about 7.5 million gallons a day to around 15 million gallons a day. That process will take between 5 and 6 years total. The two phases have about 3-year build outs each. Practical effect of doubling Mills River's production capacity from 7.5 to 15. So for example, during Helene, when North Fork and Tree were both offline, we couldn't get a ton of water from Mills River north of like the Blue Ridge Parkway. There are a couple of areas in the city limits like Oakley. I know we got it up there just north of the Blue Ridge Parkway. But with 15 million gallons a day coming out of Mills River without North Oregon Bee Tree, a lot of West Asheville would have been in water and some parts of downtown. So the benefits of increased capacity at Mills River are obvious. That's it for me today. I'll be available for any questions you have after, but for right now, turn it over to Deborah.
Thank you, Clay. Now I'm going to provide a brief update on debris removal efforts in Richmond Hill Park. The city is working with a state contractor to chip and remove large vegetative debris from the park. This state contractor-led operation will begin next week and will focus on eligible debris, such as downed tree limbs and other large vegetative materials, masses that were caused by the storm. Once all eligible debris has been removed, the city will then partner with local nonprofit organizations to help collect and clear remaining smaller, non-eligible debris. This two-phased approach mirrors the successful strategy used during recent waterway debris cleanups. We appreciate your patience and cooperation as we work to restore and maintain Richmond Hill Park as a safe and welcoming space for all. As a reminder, waterway debris removal and the private property removal program are still underway. Now, moving from storm debris and into recovery progress that was made in May, I'm pleased to announce the City of Asheville has launched a new program where community groups can propose temporary activation and beautification initiatives on public property to support economic and natural resource recovery efforts. The Temporary Activation Program, or TAP for short, is an opportunity for community organizations and volunteer-based groups to propose projects that activate and beautify public spaces in flood-impacted areas of the city. Examples include wildflower seeding along the French Broad River Greenway by middle school students under the guidance of Asheville Greenworks, and landscaping and cleanup activities in parks along Gibson Creek. This coordination prioritizes community safety and ensures community projects on public property do not conflict with debris removal and/or the damage assessments that are critical for FEMA reimbursement. While TAP is being launched initially as a tool for improved coordination, it is intended to evolve over time to identify additional strategic opportunities for partnerships. We can do more and better together. Coordination across projects and sectors yields a bigger impact. For more information and to access the program application form, visit asheville.nc.gov/TAP. May also saw an increase in the city's contribution to rental assistance funding. At the May 13th City Council meeting, City Council authorized an amendment to an interlocal agreement with Buncombe County, which provided additional funding in the amount of $135,000, $135,074 to the county's rental assistance program. I wanted to get every penny of that amount in that. This additional funding brings the total City of Asheville contribution for rental assistance to $1,759,074 since the storm. To date, the city has served 649 low-income households with much-needed rental assistance. We appreciate our Buncombe County partners for distributing the additional $135,000 in funds for this purpose. Also, last month, city staff issued a request for qualifications for design services to rebuild storm-damaged parks and infrastructure assets on Azalea Road. This milestone marks the beginning of a design plan to restore damaged city assets in the area historically known as Asheville's Playground, and to establish a new vision for a more resilient and accessible riverfront recreation complex. City-owned assets addressed in this project include but are not limited to Gaseous Creek Bridge and Dam, Recreation Park, including public swimming pool and the bathhouse, outdoor recreation facility, formerly Mama T's, John B. Lewis Soccer Complex building, Azalea Road East, Azalea Dog Park. The general scope of the RFQ was informed by input received in the Helene Recovery Priority Survey and the public engagement around the city's Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery CDBG-DR Action Plan. Through the RFQ process, the City of Asheville seeks to engage an experienced design team to develop a thorough design plan, including cost estimates for projects identified through engagement with residents, stakeholder groups, and partner agencies. The city anticipates bringing a design team on board in the fall of this year. As the project progresses, more information about community input opportunities will be made available. More information can be found on the project page at publicinput.com/Azalea Recovery. I close out on May's news by resharing that many parks and greenways along the French Broad Riverfront reopened just before Memorial Day weekend. It is truly great to see our community members back in these spaces, connecting with nature and with each other. Fully rebuilding parks, greenways, and public infrastructure along this corridor will take years, and recovery is an ongoing process. But the City of Asheville is committed to ensuring a safe and enjoyable experience for all community members, utilizing a phased approach to reopening based on federal inspections and safety assessments. We thank the community for your continued patience and understanding. Fully open public spaces include Amboy Riverfront Park, Craven Street Trailhead Park, Craven Street Bridge Boating Access Area, Gene Webb Park, and Wilma Dykeman Greenway. Partially open areas include the east side of Carrier Park, including the picnic shelter, wetlands educational area, and east parking lot are open. The west side of the park is closed except for the section of French Broad River Greenway that runs through the park, which is open. French Broad River Greenway is also partially reopened from Buncombe County's Hominy Creek River Park to Amboy Riverfront Park, and from Craven Street to French Broad River Park. French Broad River Park and the section of French Broad River Greenway remain closed at this time, as well as Richmond Hill Park. For safety and enjoyment, visitors are urged to exercise caution and be mindful of surroundings while utilizing the reopened areas. Please adhere to any posted signage, barriers, or instructions from Asheville Parks and Recreation staff regarding closed areas or potential hazards. In closing, as always, I'd like to thank our mayor, our city council, our local, federal, and state partners, and our community for your continued support. Thank you also to our city staff. We continue to make steady progress, and we remain committed to building back better. Thank you, and I'll turn it over to Leslie.
I just want to take a moment to appreciate that the city manager and Clay are sort of twinning in their color choices for today. At this point, we will open things up to questions from the media. I know it's been a hefty briefing with a lot of important information. Did see a question come in through Facebook about where to take debris. So you have two options. For vegetative debris, the Riverside Stump Dump is a great option for you, or you can also take vegetative debris to the landfill. The other debris can also be taken to the landfill. Please note that there may be fees associated with that debris that is taken to the landfill, depending on what it is. So there may be a cost associated with that, but those are your options for taking debris to be collected on your own. With that, I will open things up to questions from the media who are on a separate Zoom link.
Yeah, hey, I'll jump in. I have a question for Bobby Petty from the Army Corps. Last night, Congressman Edwards released a press release about river debris removal and waterway debris removal, citing that he was going to launch an accountability agreement with FEMA and the Army Corps regarding waterway debris removal. I was wondering if he could just address what seems like environmental nonprofits and legal concerns over the debris removal and what that agreement might look like.
Which outlet are you with, Ben?
I'm Will Hoffman with the Citizen Times.
Oh, I thought you said Ben. I'm sorry. Hey, Will.
Hey.
Bobby's coming right up. Here he comes.
Hey, well, yeah, actually, we were just working on a response for that. We got wind of that just a little bit ago. Say overall, USACE welcomes continued coordination with all of our stakeholders, including federal, state, and local partners, as well as affected homeowners to ensure the correct balance of improving the overall public safety after Hurricane Helene while maintaining transparency and responsible environmental stewardship.
Sounds like maybe Bobby will email you that response as well, Will. Additional questions?
John Boyle with National Watchdog. I had a question for Bobby. Sorry, I didn't catch you, Bobby.
Clay's face is crestfallen
I'm
at
so
this
sorry,
moment that your
Clay.
question
I'm so
is not for him. We've got resources for you, Clay. Bobby?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. I'll try to answer.
Hey, Bobby. I've just heard from a couple of different readers. Seem to be like isolated spots where there's debris that hasn't been picked up and people feel like it's forgotten about. I had someone in particular that was asking about the Forest Knoll subdivision, which is out Reams Creek Road outside of Weaverville city limits. So I'm just hoping, and this person also said they haven't seen many trucks around, which your presentation would seem to refute that. So if you could just—
Which county? Which county is that, sir? If I can ask.
That is in Buncombe County.
Okay, yeah.
It's Weaverville's about 15 miles north of Asheville.
Gotcha. Right.
So they're asking about seems this neighborhood in particular they think is debris has been forgotten. But in general, I hear that, and people, it's like my neighborhood. I've noticed there's stumps that are left over. It doesn't seem like anybody's going to come get them. It's kind of isolated pockets where things remain. Can you address that?
Yeah, I know we're trying to find that balance between removing things of immediate public safety hazards left by the hurricane and things that may be addressed later on by the county or by the state. Obviously, you may see trucks driving around on the streets, and they may not be necessarily Army Corps with the Army Corps. They may be with other state or local localities. So if you want to email me, my email, I'm sorry to give it out, is we'll give it out. Yeah. Get that information to me, and we'll try to drill down a little bit and find out. There's a chance that depending on where that is, the contractors maybe haven't actually gotten out to those sites yet because just for various reasons. A lot of it has to do with, you normally, like with any response, just like if you lose your power, normally you'll see the utility workers, they'll first focus on where things are really, concentrated. Maybe you can easily serve 1,000 people to get the power back on, but those 2s and 3s that are out there, you may get that with, follow on. But yeah, send that information to me, and sir, I'll try to track that down for you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and John, I replied to you on Friday about that, and we'll follow up with more. That's a PPDR question, and so like Avril mentioned in her talking points, there are multiple layers to PPDR, and so we got you, John. Additional questions?
Appreciate it.
Anybody else with questions from the media? We've got about 3 more minutes. Anything in the Facebook chat, Catalina? To stay informed about Helene recovery, please bookmark engage.buncombecounty.org/Buncombe Recovers. Sign up for those phone alerts by texting BC Alert, that's not case sensitive, to 99411, or call the Buncombe County, the One Buncombe call center at 828-250-6100. Please note that our Helene Resource Center and our One Buncombe call center will be closed on June 19th for Juneteenth. So we will be closed on that day, but we're regularly open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Taking one last moment. No additional questions. We will close things up. At its next meeting, the Buncombe County Board of Commissioners will be lifting the local state of emergency that was put into place back on September 25th. Helene has left its indelible mark on our community, and two things can be true. Our hearts can be broken and hopeful at the same time, and our collective experiences will be centered as we continue our path of recovery. Thank you for joining us today. Our July briefing will be held on Wednesday, July 9th, due to the Independence holiday, and we will look forward to providing you with more recovery updates then.